heat treatment of hot work tool steels. There are many different tools in industry, in heat treatment industry, like knives made from cold work tool steel, like drills made from high-speed steel. But one of most, maybe not most difficult, but most demanding tool, it's a hot work tool, like dies and other. So today we will speak a little bit more about this. My name is Adam Adamek. I'm together with my friend Kamil. We are not alone.
Please let me introduce our guest from Hungary. There is Anita Kormendi, owner of AIG project. Hello, Anita. How are you?
Hello, guys. I'm fine. I appreciate being here. Thank you.
Anita, good to see you. Okay.
Thank you. From India, over 6,000 kilometers from us, Ankit Gupta, Executive Director, Metals India. Hello, Ankit. How are you?
Hello, Kamil, and hello, Adam, my dear friend. It's nice to be here with you. Thank you very much for inviting me for this e-seminar.
Yes,
I'm really humbled, and thank you, everyone, the complete SECO team, for this initiative.
Thank you. And from Portugal, Paulo Duarte, Project Manager, Metal Solvus Company. Hello, Paulo.
Hello, good morning.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for joining us. We wish to see you here personally. In fact, we have the possibility to see you virtually, but it's also okay to us because we count on your knowledge, on your experience, and we try to share the knowledge between us and between our attendees. So, are you ready for our discussion?
Yes.
Yes, I think, yes.
Okay, so let's see what happened. We prepared a little bit before, but this is also, it's not our everyday life activity. So let's start with first question. Kamil.
Okay, let's start. And if you have any questions or you would like to add something, comments, it will be only better.
Yes.
That's why if we can start.
Let's start.
Let's start.
Good. I forget about. Okay, we can continue.
First question. One of the most common tools are tools for aluminum die casting. What is worth pay to attention during the heat treatment of such parts? Paulo, if you don't mind, let's start with you.
Okay, for this type of applications, hot work tool steels are used, and the most important thing to pay attention on heat treatment is to fulfill the hardness, to achieve the hardness at the end. But toughness for me, toughness of the material, it's more important, and this is related with the steel itself and also with heat treatment. So before notice things about heat treatment, let us see this picture where we can see that depending on the steel, on the production method, we can reach different types of toughness. The hardness will be the same as you will see on the left, but what we see on the right is that hardness of the toughness of SER steel, it's much higher than the normal grade. So this is important to pay attention when something goes wrong. Issues are not always dependent on the treatment. This is the first idea, and then we can take a look on the treatment itself. The treatment, we should look for toughness, because hardness we can adjust it with hardening and with the temperature, but toughness is related with two important parameters, not depending on the hardness itself.
Yes, Paulo, and I have a feeling that with when you, especially for commercial heat treaters, the customer asks for heat treatment and for hardness. And from your experience, or also from Ankit or Anita experience, when you ask for heat treatment, how many people describing the properties or the requirements, including not only hardness, but the microstructure and toughness parameters? Is it popular, or it should be more to better communicate between customer and heat treatment supplier?
Typically, the clients ask for hardness. They send the parts to the treatment shop and ask, I want this tool with 46, 48 rock LC, and this is the main specification for this type of materials, and this is the requirement. They don't ask for any kind of toughness. They don't ask for any type of cycle, so they ask for hardness, and this is what treaters take into consideration. We should achieve a certain level of hardness, but for the performance of the tool in production, it's important the toughness, because this type of molds for the die casting industry, they suffer from thermal fatigue. And toughness, it's the most important things to take into consideration. And for that we should take a look on the relationship between toughness and hardness. This is related, as we see in this slide, but we can improve it by changing the steel grade for a remelting rate, for instance, or if we are speaking about heat treatment, we should look for a lower austenitizing temperature. This will give a finer microstructure, and finer microstructure will lead us to an improved toughness of the material for the same hardness.
Yes.
This is important to take into consideration when we are heating up the material.
Thank you. And this is, at the end, there is always a lifetime of the tool, yes? Ankit, you want to say something?
I would like to add over here, Paulo rightly said that the customer is more concerned or only concerned about the hardness. And I would say uniform hardness in large dies is more important for the customer, because these dies have different cross sections all over the place. Somewhere it is 200 millimeters, somewhere it is only maybe 50 millimeters. So they are more concerned about uniform hardness. To achieve this uniform hardness, we should have a very good furnace with very good controls over temperature controlling and controlling over the quenching of the dies. So I feel finally the hardness is important. Toughness is only during the checking or new customer development, when we need to give them more confidence about the new tools that they would be using or new steels that they would be trying. So we need to do trials and satisfy with them the right hardness, the right toughness, and the impact strength of the steel. But during commercial heat treatment or during regular days, they are only concerned of hardness. So we should have the right equipment to control these parameters of hardness and toughness.
Yes. And you prepared some additional slide, Paulo, like we can see right now, related to toughness that you mentioned, correlated to the cooling speed.
Yes, again, this is related with the treatment cycle. Now we are speaking about cooling. What happens during cooling? If we cool fast, we can take a look here on the graph. If we cool it with 9 bar pressure, we reach very good toughness of the steel. If we cool it on 3 bars, the toughness is much lower. This does not change the hardness. The hardness after quenching will be the same, but toughness will be very different. So the fast we cool, the higher the toughness we will have on the material. This is an important parameter to set on the furnaces. Is how fast we cool the tools.
Yes, thank you.
If we cool it too fast, the parts can break. If we use 9 bars without mar tempering, maybe we can break or deform too much the parts. But we can cool fast and then do mar tempering at lower speed in order to avoid the deformation. This is an important parameter to set on the treatment of die casting tools.
Thank you, Pablo. And also, by the way, thank you, Ankit, because you mentioned about the uniformity of the results. But as we can observe many times, Kamil, in case of from the manufacturing furnaces producer point of view, many times we have the requirements for cooling speed or heating speed, but there is another parameter like uniformity in every aspect, not only in heating or cooling, but at the end in the results. Yes? Yes. Many times. Okay. Thank you so much.
I have a few comments.
Please.
So besides a lot technical idea and topics, I try to show some practical ones. So customers don't care about the things we mentioned now, the cooling speed and so on. They need a good surface. They need a good hardness without distortions and a good package back to them. And this is their target. This is their wish. And from my side, I feel the raw material is really important, but we have to be partner in this topic and help customers to find and to understand why this topic, the raw material and sometimes the main which is the delivery time, not the hardness. Sometimes, okay, good, just send back because they need it immediately, the tool. And so my point of view, we have to educate and we have to have good cooperation and a good communication with them. Because we have to decide the heat treaters, the follow-up or the prevention is better for us. So I know this is a different point of view, but my experience is that nowadays it's more important than to tell the customers what kind of material you have to buy because of the cooling speed and because of the every other technological parameter. They don't care.
Yes, I
they
fully agree. Anita, many times I heard the answer from the heat treater that related the very requirements for quick heat treatment. That this is not a bakery. Yes.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it's similar in Hungary or in India or in Portugal, the same sentence. Okay, thank you. Let's go for another topic because I see just behind the Ankit there is a big furnace on the left side. So Kamil, maybe we can relate to this aspect.
Next question is very related to previous and large die size. What challenges for heat treatment can be? This is the question. And also, how about the Bainite structure? What may be consequence the structure for the steel after the quenching? This is the question. And if we can,
who would like to start?
Yes.
I can start. So what happens is that when we increase the size of the die, if the thickness gets big, what happens is that maybe even if we put more pressure on the furnace, part will cool at lower speed. We can cool it faster, but the part is thick, so we cannot extract the heat so well. So this means that when we increase the size of the die, the cooling speed of the part is just like we see in this T diagram. So we will achieve a mixed structure. So we will not have only martensite at the end of the hardening. We will reach a certain amount of Bainite. This will reduce a little bit the toughness as we see on the left on this picture. The toughness values will be a little bit lower than expected for small tools cooled fast in vacuum.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because I understand that to low speed we can achieve too much perlite structure, which is not okay. Am I right?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
But I mean, in the big and large tools, yes. So where it makes the heat treatment even more difficult. Okay. Can you comment, because now we have something about also binitic microstructure, and we made a short discussion before our today official discussion. And can you comment the next slide that you prepared before?
Yes, what we measured was real hardening cycles, real loads, real parts, and we measured the cooling speeds reached for die casting applications from smaller to larger tools, and this is the result that we achieved. So basically, the hardening furnaces will introduce cooling speeds on the parts that will produce a certain amount of Bainite always. This occurs mostly for hot work tool steels, because the parts are not so thin as on cold work applications. The thickness of the die casting molds are bigger, and this means that cooling speeds in vacuum furnaces are not so fast. So this will introduce to microstructure a certain amount of Bainite, and the 12 Celsius degrees per minute is a typical value for cooling on vacuum hardening furnaces. Of course, the surface cools a little bit faster. The core will cool a little bit not so fast, and typical average value for cooling speed of vacuum furnaces is around 12 Celsius degrees per minute. This will introduce a mixed structure.
And if we speak about large dies, Ankit, do you have any definition of what is a large die for you in terms of tool? It's by the dimension or by the kilograms?
The largest die over here with us, we have done 3.5 tons, single block for Larsen and Toubro. And this has been a big project for us, with many different holes, many different cross sections in throughout the die. It looks to be a big piece, single piece, but it's very tough to handle because of the non-uniform dimensions and cross sections everywhere. So for us, for the customer, it is always they feel good that they are sending big loads to the commercial heat treater, and they can expect good commercial discounts while processing it. But as a commercial heat treater, we feel it's more of a pain, because we all have more liability now towards the customer, to do proper heat treatment. And if there is anything wrong, then of course there is a lot of stake involved. So what I feel in handling large dies, the uniformity of temperature sections to bigger sections is one concern. We do not have to overheat the smaller sections, and we do not have to underheat the bigger sections. Secondly, about the distortion, people are very much concerned, as Anita said, about the distortion. In bigger dies, yes, we have to have a very close discussion with the design team of the tool maker to leave some margin or good margin for machining after vacuum heat treatment, so that we are able to do good quenching or have a good quenching rate as per standards of the industry, maybe NADCA standards or tool and die industry standard, and to achieve the good microstructure with uniform hardness. But we have to compromise on the distortion at the same time. So this is a very big challenge during handling of large dies with us.
It's interesting, Ankit, because you mentioned, I asked you about large die, and you mentioned it's not only the matter of the size or of the weight, but of the shape differences. To put one element into furnace and to take out after the process also one, and not after cracking two pieces, yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
And also for large dies, it is important to satisfy customer with the hardness at different locations. For a small piece, it is okay to check hardness at one location and deliver it. But the customer needs to see hardness at different locations. So it is very, very important that the furnace has right kind of heating system and right kind of uniform multi-directional quenching system, so that all the areas are cooled homogeneously.
Okay, thank you. And heat treatment for many people, it's very.
It's black magic.
This is also, but the first impression is always about hardening, but it's not only the one process. So now we have to ask another question.
Yes, like in all areas in life and industries, also in heat treatment, there are factors which determine good heat treatment, and which they are, and on what factors we should concentrate to have a good heat treatment.
Yes.
I think we have to start with the steel. The steel, the raw material, is the first important factor for very good heat treatment. If the customer is not really confident or not bothered about the raw material usage, the chemical composition or the chemistry of the raw material, the die used, then he can make a good tool or a bad tool. Heat treatment is not going to make any difference. So raw material is the number one important factor while starting a new project on large dies.
I have a question, Ankit. What about your experience with stress relief before austenization and hardening? You know, after the machining, there are many stresses in the big dies especially. And what is your experience? Do you do stress relief, or do you have some other methods?
I think some intermediate heat treatment, not only the final heat treatment after the complete machining, but how about large dies and some, you mean stress relief?
Exactly.
Yeah? Okay, so for handling large dies, we always recommend our customers to do 3 stress relievings during a complete manufacturing process of a die. Once, while they are rough machining the die, they should do a stress relieving process, and they should send the die to the commercial heat treatment company to relieve the stresses while they are scooping out big material from the die, to have less stresses over there, to increase machining time of the die. The second stage would be when we receive the die, we should always first do a stress relieving cycle before starting a heat treatment process. Then the third stress relieving would be finally after the die has been completely made, there are samples, aluminum die casting samples have been produced, maybe 200, 500 according to the production control or the PPAP requirements of the customer. They should always send the die for stress relieving. So that would always increase the life of the die, and it would be a very good practice for all handling large dies.
Okay, thank you so much for your recommendation. And like Anita said before, it's only big issue and big importance to educate each other, the customer educate heat treater, and in opposite way to make the finally better partnership and the better results at the end of our components. Thank you for the answer. Now we have another aspect related. Sometimes I see a little bit mistakes when we speak to our customer and misunderstanding between NADCA and NADCA, and if we can say something shortly about NADCA standards and why it is requirement, why it can be important to the customer, and what does it mean?
So NADCA is a North American association that has a lot of publication, and one of them is related with recommended good practices for a treatment of die casting dies. So they have a publication that has specifications that treaters should follow in order to reach a good properties on the tool steels. These recommendations are regarding the cycles, the structure, the properties, and so on. So this is a good indication for the treaters to follow in order to reach good properties. They don't give parameters for the furnace, but control of what is done.
Okay, thank you, Paulo. This is just to make a short flash about this issue, because it's for many people doing heat treatment of tool steels, it's important. And let's switch for another aspect, which is related to maybe mixed technological and management issue.
Yes, management of daily, weekly business, from the delivery of the dies to the hardening shop, to the packing, shipping to the customer. And what is your experience in this matter? Anita?
Yeah, so for my former workplaces, I worked a lot in this area, because the biggest problem, we have a time problem a whole day, and then we have to do the production, we have to do the daily business, we have to care the customers' wishes and the logistic, and so on and so on. And my idea, we have to plan a whole year. For example, the planned things like maintenance, like holidays, everything. Sometimes the supplier say well in advance, we'll have no electricity in that days. So we have to plan everything in a year, and then the rest time is for the production. And then for every week, we could manage a timetable. I mean, we have a really fixed customers for really fixed days and really fixed batches. We could put there, and the rest time we could sell for the others. So this area is really interesting nowadays because of the the crisis and the energy problems. So that's why we have to plan our days, and we have to plan not only the production but everything together. I think the best if we have contracts and agreements with our suppliers, with our customers, and then it's a safety way how we can sell our rest times, our extra times in our shop.
Okay, so it means it's not only the planning, the process parameters, which is important to make a correct heat treatment, but not less important is the planning all the production. Yes, from receiving the parts, even from starting the communication with the customer to sending the parts back. And Paolo or Ankit, would you like to add something to this?
Yes, I can speak also a little bit about this because I have been before heat treatment manager for 8 years, and I'm beside technical, it's I'll do plan the cycles and I'll do control it, but it's important also to fulfill the need of the client that is related with giving back the tool fast, because we are heat treaters are at the end of the production line of the tool, as we see in this picture. So many times we receive on the treatment shop parts already with delay. So we need to give a fast answer, and daily we don't know which parts will we have to heat treat 2 hours later. So before we typically we receive the parts at the end of the day, and then start during the night the heat treatment cycles. So for this we have a short time to prepare the loads and to start the heat treatment cycles. This is how to deal with unpredictability. And this is related with the issue that we receive a lot of different types of steels on the heat treatment shop. There is a lot of parts in our shop. In shop I was manager before, we receive around 400 orders per day. So this means that we need to prepare the loads with many times with different steels that to be heat treated with a compromise of heat treatment cycle in order to reach the properties and to give the clients in 1 day, 2 days, 2, 3 days, 5 days if the part is big enough. So we had a short time to manage and to program and to put all the parts together in the same load. This is a difficult task for the heat treaters.
Okay, thank you, Paolo. This is interesting because as we know, for us, many times we are focused on good results and technical parameters, but it's not only. And from the comparison of management with the employees of heat treatment shop, the equipment and the customer interactions, what of these 3 aspects is the most demanding for you?
The most demanding is to deliver on time, on the hardness and on deformation level that the client will accept it, because each time that we treat the parts, we deform them, and the customers don't like deformation. But heat treatment has always dimensional changes, and this is always associated with any treatment. So this for me was the big challenge, to deliver on time, on the hardness and on the acceptable deformation level.
I have 2 comments only. The cooperation and the communication with customers, this is a key again. So, and then the other one is there are a lot of really good production planning systems in the market where you could connect your furnaces and your colleagues, and then we could optimize the production really easy.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you, Paulo. The next topic, and this is the last topic of our discussion, is something about development. We do not stay at the same place all the time. Time is flying, and everywhere there is a fast transformation, even in heat treatment.
Yes. Not only technology changing, but also investment of new devices are very important. To have a better business, to be better on the market, and to be leader. Development of heat treatment shop. What is necessary? Anita, can you share with your experience and your...
Yes, so that's why I'm here anyway. So I have a customer in Hungary who have a brand new SECO WARWICK furnace, vacuum hardening furnace, and we have another furnace which is not brand new, but it's after modernization. So from my point of view, the main task and the easiest way to keep condition of the furnace is the maintenance. And of course, the time is flying, and the industry could solve higher and higher issues. And sometimes we have to decide to buy a new furnace. But I don't think so. We need a new one if we have an old one somewhere in the world, and we could have a modernization. If this is not possible, of course, we have to buy a new one. But to buy furnaces, first of all, we have to decide exactly why and for what and when. And so I have a lot of point of view how we could see this project, this new as a project manager, for example, and the customers have to decide the furnace, why they need it. And for example, NADCA, sometimes everybody say, oh, I need a NADCA, but why do you need a NADCA? This is important for you or not? And this is another way how we could improve our customers' knowledge, to communicate with them, because sometimes we would like to buy a Ferrari, and then this is a sport car, for example, they need for forest because they live in forest, and sometimes they have not the knowledge in their head. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And in a development of heat treatment, especially in hot work tool steels, which trend you observe right now? What is your observation? Ankit or Paulo?
Could you clarify your question?
Yes, the question is because the tool steels are known for many years, and especially hot work tool steels and the heat treatment of it. But there is every year there are new demands from the market, from the customers. And what is your observation about what is the trend now for heat treatment of hot work tool steels, if any trend you see?
Okay. During my introduction with Anita, I told her we are a 42-year-old commercial heat treatment company. So we have seen a hot work tool steel for a long time in our commercial heat treatment shop. We used to do heat treatment of dyes from salt bath to electric furnaces to now vacuum furnaces. The most or the biggest advantage of vacuum furnaces is the handling of dyes, the cleanliness, the homogeneity of hardness, no decarburization, no carburization of dyes. So ultimately, the customer gets the right product after heat treatment. He is not scared of buying a very good steel and ruining it while heat treatment. So the combination of good steel and good heat treatment is now available through vacuum furnaces. Earlier, this combination was not available, so there was always a kind of a dilemma whether the tools can be carburized or decarburized in different processes. This is one big advantage of handling hot work tool steels in vacuum furnaces. And this is the choice of processing these large dies and hot work tool steels in today's era. Also, I would like to mention in one point, we were talking about the challenges and the customer expectations. So I always tell jokingly my customers, a baby takes 9 months to come out of the mother's womb. So be patient and give us that much time to process the dyes in a proper and a disciplined way. There is no shortcut to a good heat treated dye. It would take, the process time is a process time where no shortcuts can actually bring good results to these heat treatment of large dyes.
I
And
agree.
also, yeah.
In heat treatment, we have temperature and time, and there is no excuse, and we have to be patient,
There is no
especially for hot work tool steels. You want to
Yes.
add something? Yes.
I also tell them we are not Amazon. We are a heat treatment company. We not only pick up and deliver dyes. There is a lot that goes in that 4 to 5 days during the processing, during the heat treatment of dyes. But we try to be Amazon because at the end, the customer wants delivery not tomorrow but yesterday.
Exactly.
That's a very big factor.
Yes. I have a feeling, because this is we are coming to the end of our conversation, and I have a feeling, or my conclusion for today during our discussion is that heat treatment of hot work tools, it's relatively easy, on condition that you have some knowledge and experience. But the mistakes and making failures, sometimes it's even easier. So we have to be careful. Okay, dear, thank you very much for your effort for today. Camille, thank you. Anita, Ankit, and Paulo. How are you now?
Thank you very much.
How are you now after our discussion?
I feel satisfied because we shared and talked about important subjects of equipment of die casting tools, hot work tools. It's always important to share the knowledge, to learn, to know that knowledge will also evolve with time. And this is important to see also opinions from other colleagues around the world.
Yeah, a warm request to our attendees. If you have any comments, you can give us a feedback on the chat. We will be very thankful. So it's time to finish. Once again, because we can speak about technology even longer, the thing is, now we also express that if in case of any details, any other questions, now I'm saying to all of our attendees, you know where to ask and to whom you can ask. Once again, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much for joining our seminar, and let's see, maybe we see you next year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.